Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast, presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Josh with MitsuTimes. Today, our special guest is Kyle Cope from Cope Performance. How's it going today, Kyle?
Oh, it's going pretty good. How about yourself?
It's going great, man. I'm glad to have you on. I love to see a shop where every picture they post, the shop's just full of Mitsubishis, man. They must keep you busy over there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely what we specialize in, that's for sure.
Good. So tell us a little bit about the origin of Cope Performance. How, when, and why did it get started?
So it basically started due to me having my Evo 10. I had some DSMs and stuff back in the day, going through high school and right after high school and stuff.
Right.
And then shortly after, I had bought my Evo 10 brand new and had taken it to a couple of shops. And, I didn't want to work on it because it was brand new. So I took it to a couple of shops and had some things done, and then ended up blowing the motor in the car. And so then I ended up taking it somewhere else and had them build me a motor. And, it didn't work out in the long run. And so then I started building it myself and doing all my own fabricating and turned the car from what I thought was going to be my daily driver car into a full build 800 horsepower car. And started getting attention from a lot of the local, Evo guys, and they started reaching out to me, and I started slowly doing, little side projects here and there for people, and then ended up building, quite a few cars out of my little 2-car garage at home. Had about 10 Evo 10s in my backyard that I was building for other people, and then it turned into, well, now I got too many cars in my backyard, and it's time to, open up a shop and start taking it more seriously and leave my my day job and move into an actual shop and start doing work for other people more regularly.
That must have been pretty scary to, give up your day job to, follow your passion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was a decision that took probably longer than it should have. Just having a house and a wife and a kid and thinking like, am I really going to take the leap to work on cars every day? And, how many Evo 10s are there in the area to work on? And, and then I started getting into the 8s and 9s as well to help make up for the fact that there's only so many Evo 10s ever made.
Right. So Cope Performance is pretty unique in that it is a full, you guys can do everything pretty much. So yeah. Could you give us a rundown of the products and services that Cope Performance offers?
Yeah, so I will do basically everything on a car other than body work. So we do full engine builds in-house, everything from your just basic refresh to, a full-blown 1,000 horsepower engine. Especially for the 4B11s, that's definitely the specialty of the shop is the 4B11 platform. We'll also do transmission work as well, rebuilding the trannies while they're here, full fuel systems, ECUs, anything that you could possibly need. We also will do all the powder coating in-house, so when you bring a car in and you want a full crazy build, we will pull the whole car apart, build the engine, build the transmission, get you set up fuel system-wise, fabricate the turbo kit, powder coat it, get it show ready, and then take it to a local place here that has a dyno and get a dyno tuned and all done in-house without the need of, shipping your car to, a bunch of different places. Right. Or sending your parts all over the country to get built.
And to pay labor at 10 different shops.
Yeah, exactly. And that all stemmed from, myself wanting that done with my own car.
Yeah.
Or, multiples now at this point. Every car had its own little thing that I wanted to do to it, and instead of sending it out and that, I'd be like, well, if somebody else can do it, that means that I can. And so then I slowly, do little bits at a time and figure out every little piece of the car, building it, rebuilding it, breaking it, racing it, and then getting to the point where everything in the car can be done by myself.
Yeah, that definitely adds another level of comfort when you can take a car to a shop somewhere and you know that your car is going to stay at that shop and all the parts are going to stay at that shop, and nothing real bad's going to happen to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No parts lost in shipping or anything like that.
And then you have somebody who knows everything about your product, so having your valve cover shipped off to a place that doesn't realize that the baffles need to be removed or something like that.
Yep, exactly. And that was a horror story that I went through on my own car, and one of the major reasons why I started doing the powder coating and the Cerakoting and stuff.
So we talked a little bit about the 4B11 platform, but would you say that there's one thing or one platform or service that the shop specializes in?
I would say building high horsepower Evo 10s to where you can actually use them and they're not going to break. I've built, quite a few 800 plus horsepower Evo 10s, and they're out driving around. They're not at the shop every day. Although, they definitely do have to come back a little more than your average daily driver, for a 500 horsepower car. But, these guys, I build them their car, and there's times where I don't see them for 6 months, for a checkup, and they're out driving their car every day. They're out racing it. They're doing everything that they want to do with the car, and I don't really see the car every other day because there's an issue with it.
So if I have Evo 10 and I just know that I want to go fast, I don't know how to do it, I can hit up you guys and you guys can put together a plan for me to bring my car there and what the parts are going to look like and what it's going to take to achieve a certain horsepower build.
Oh, 100%. And that's something that I always ask my customers, to give me what is your ideal build? What is your actual goal with the car? Let's make sure that is achievable first, and then let's figure out what parts you're going to need, how the car is going to need to be handled, throughout the future. Even break down, like, are you sure you want a 800 horsepower car? Because you're going to need to service things a lot more. Your transmission and your transfer case, those fluid changes are no longer going to be every 30,000 miles. You're putting them to severe use. You're going to need to change that every 5,000 to 10,000 miles, depending on how often you're launching the car or driving it hard. And, oil changes, if you're on E85, you're going to be doing them a lot more often, every 1,000, 1,500 miles if you're out racing the car. And sometimes that gets people to go, you know what, maybe I don't want to do that because this is my only car.
Right.
I do want to drive it every day. And, I don't want to go through the hassle of having them be at the shop all the time, or I don't want to be jacking my car up at home and doing oil changes once a week,
I mean, that's definitely understandable. And that brings me to something that, you and I didn't really talk about before this, but something that I've always kind of wondered, not having owned an Evo 10 myself, is why do you see so many, I guess, Evo 8, 9 platforms being drag raced, but then you don't see as many Evo 10s? And the story used to be, well, they haven't been out as long, but time has come and gone since. What do you think the deal is? Is it just because the car is more comfortable and it's more suited for being on the street, or what?
Yeah, the Evo 10 is a very hard platform to use for drag racing. It, especially once you get slicks on it, it doesn't want to leave very well. The car is, a little bit heavier than an 8 and 9. It's not anything I would consider to be significant, but, and then just having engine failures and stuff, there's there's a lot more little tricks and tips that need to go into a 4B11 to get it to actually hold together. I do know that there's a lot of rumors on the forums and stuff about, the rear diff being weak or the transfer case being weaker. And I haven't seen any failures in that regard.
Yeah.
But there are rumors out there that I think scare people away from turning their cars up and turning them into drag cars.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think a lot of it, too, is that they are newer cars, and I don't think a lot of people want to cut them up, cage them, take the interior out, all that stuff.
Take them too serious, yet.
Yeah, a lot of people like using them as street cars because they are more comfortable, and they're newer cars. They're very nice. A lot of them are lower mileage and stuff.
Right.
It definitely takes a special individual to take a newer, lower mileage chassis, and that's not been exactly proven to be able to go fast, and then cut it up and turn it into a drag car.
Right. Yeah, one of the things that is so crazy to me is that there's probably, MitsuTimes list only has 5, but there's probably less than 10 in the world of sub 10-second Evo 10s, and that's just crazy. When you see what kind of power that the 4B11 is proven to make. But I mean, like you said, people just, they're enjoying the car instead of, making it undrivable on the streets, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely, I understand that. I have 2 Evo 10s that I'm in build process with. One is my personal car that I bought brand new in 2015, and I refuse to cut that car up and turn it into a drag car.
Yeah.
So I ended up finding another higher mileage chassis that was a little beat up, and that's what I'm going to end up using in the future for a drag car specifically. But I still plan on, keeping my 2015, and I'm going to finish the build on that one and leave it alone finally.
Yeah. Just enjoy it.
That's going to stay. It's going to stay a street car. No cage. Probably not going to see the drag strip very often, if at all. And I'm going to leave the heavy lifting up to the drag car once I get the chance to put that together.
So what would you say the future of Co-Performance looks like?
Definitely an expansion, maybe another move. I am out of room here at the shop that I'm in right now. I got quite a few cars sitting outside that I'd like not to be outside. So I am looking at getting either another building or moving into a larger section of the current building that we're in.
Nice.
And it being able to expand our services and stuff. I want to be able to build a full-blown drag car here.
Yeah.
Not only my own, but for other people that want to be into the motorsport itself a little more. So I'm looking at getting a tubing bender and notcher and all that stuff, so I can build the whole chassis and everything right here in shop, but definitely don't have the room for that here. So we're already looking at moving out of the current space that we're in and moving into somewhere a little bit bigger.
Man, I love to hear that because, sometimes I don't see a slip for a month or two and I think, man, I really hope that this, these platforms aren't dying off. I see a lot of part outs from, big name guys. So it's good to hear that, you're so busy that you're going to have to get a bigger shop. That's just, I love that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And that's where I definitely have plans in the future to push the platform a little bit further. I have some products that are going to be coming out. Can't talk about them too much, but I do have something that's going to solve, at least I believe, some of the head gasket integrity issues on the 4B11. So I've been quietly working on that, and also working on something for the rear diff of the Evo 10 to help support the case of it, because that's what actually breaks.
Okay.
Is the case flexes because it's aluminum and it breaks the case, and then turns everything into a mess. But I'm trying to keep Evo 10s as Evo 10 as possible without having to do the 8 and 9 conversion in the rear or 3000 GT rear end.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to be able to use the parts that came in at factory. So that's definitely something that I'm going to be working on here shortly.
Yeah. Especially 3000 GT rear ends are getting harder and harder to find every day.
Oh, absolutely. Even for my own 3000 GT, I'm looking at parts for that all the time, and I'm like, man, I can't find anything for these things.
Right.
Stuff's get discontinued, and you just can't get it anymore. And then using that in a drag car and breaking it, then you don't really have much of an option, as far as replacement of it.
Yeah. Then that's why you see a lot of part outs is, hey, I broke this one thing and I'm not going to be able to find the part, so I'm just going to cut my losses.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that, the 3000 GT is another car that's very close to my heart. And I definitely see a lot of them getting parted out. That's, I wish people would take the time to keep them going and keep them on the road.
Right.
That's another platform that I'm probably going to start getting into a little bit, just to help keep them cars on the road.
Awesome.
Even selfishly for my own car.
So we talked a little bit about the tubing bender and, possibly some ways around the head gasket problems. Is there any products or services that you hope that Cope Performance will offer in the future that you might want to talk about a little bit?
Yeah, so I started making some intercoolers for the Evo 10 for the guys that want to road race or, street their car.
Nice.
Not so much for the drag guys, but for the higher horsepower guys that don't want a bar and plate intercooler that's going to heat soak. I've actually come up with a tube and fin design that's a little bit larger than your average front mount that people do offer for these cars. And that is something that I have, and I will be getting up onto a website very shortly. That is another thing that's coming in the future. Real shortly is our website is actually going to be up and operational here in hopefully the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Nice.
And then you'll see a bunch of products are going to get released on there all at once. Been kind of holding back a little bit until I can actually get everything released and, make a big announcement. Here's the website. Here's a bunch of parts that we're going to offer that are special to Cope Performance. This is going to be the only place you're going to be able to get them, at least for now. And that's definitely something exciting to look forward to is finally getting a lot of the stuff that I do make, for my customers here locally, get it to where I can, have people across the country go on my website, order it, and I can get my parts out there to the people who need them that aren't local.
Definitely. Yeah. Especially, like you said, somebody in California or something looking for those parts and can't find them anywhere. And, now all of a sudden here they are.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So we talked a little bit about the higher mileage chassis drag car potentially. Is there a shop car that you want to talk about? Like what's going on with it? What kind of build it is?
Yeah, so I'm going to be building it's going to be based off of a billet 2.2-liter crankshaft engine. It's an Evo 10 chassis, and I'm gonna try and turn that about 10,500 RPM. The turbo kit that's going to be going on it is going to be something a little abnormal that I don't want to talk about either. But it'll be interesting to see how it works. And I'm going to be building that same exact setup to go into my street car, so I can test it on the street and see how long it's going to live, so I know how the car is going to perform throughout a season, without having to tear it down every other event and stuff. And eventually the drag car I'd like to turn into a drag and drive car and get the Evo 10 out there on some of these drag and drive events like Rocky Mountain Race Week and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's definitely something I'd like to do in the future. You don't really see a lot of Evos doing those types of events.
Definitely.
And I think that'd be a real great way to show, look, we can build these cars to be reliable and to do these types of events, and you can do it. You're comfortable. You got your 4-door sedan. It's all-wheel drive. You can go to these drag and drive events, and you're not going to have to worry about blowing your car up every other pass.
Right. It can be put through the paces and still make it home.
Yeah, exactly. And that's definitely hoping within the next 2 years to get that drag car up and together, and then maybe eventually turn it up a little bit and go for some personal bests with it, and see how fast we can make it go.
Definitely. I love the sound of that, especially those drag and drive events. They're definitely becoming more and more popular, and you see more of them popping up around the country. So I'm glad. I mean, it's good timing on your part. I hope that it inspires a lot of people to get out there, take their Evo out there to those drag and drive events, and we do get to see a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something that I'm real big about is delivering a car to a customer that actually works,
right?
And that people can actually take and enjoy. And like I daily drive an 06 Evo 9 that's got a Coke Performance built 2.3 stroker in it with some Telford cams on a Force Performance red turbo on pump gas. The car's making right around 500 wheel horsepower. That's my daily driver. I've got 16,000 miles on that engine. And it's still kicking, and I use it every day, and I'm not afraid to get on it or use it. And that's something here soon. I'm going to take that to the drag strip and see what it can run. But that's my daily, and that's something that I think I don't see a lot of other shops doing is, proving that, you can drive it every day.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that's something that I definitely pride myself in, is that I daily drive these cars. Not only do I work on them, but I enjoy them just as much as my customers do.
It's not like you come to work and work on them and then drive a Honda Accord home.
Exactly.
So, we talked about 3000 GTs and you buying your first Evo. Do you want to give us a brief history of your background in Mitsubishi cars?
Yeah, absolutely. So it all started with one of my first cars was a third-gen Eclipse. It was a 2.4 4G64 automatic. It was an 01, and I absolutely loved that car. And that's what kind of got me started into wrenching on them and my passion for the Mitsubishi platform. As a typical 16-year-old kid, found the cheapest set of headers off of eBay and found the cheapest exhaust I could find and bolted it all on and started messing around with it and, ended up wrecking that car as a young teenager who's into cars does. And, then I got into Volkswagens a little bit and, always had that soft spot for that first car, that 3G, and then ended up, getting back into it with getting a 2G GSX that I also ended up ricing out and kind of ruining that car. And I sold that and got a 2G GST, and that car wasn't running for about 10 years and got it all fixed up and running properly, and then ended up selling it. And then I ended up getting my Evo 10. Maybe about 2 years after that. I was just, daily driving some Volkswagens and stuff in between, and, always wanted an Evo and never really thought I could afford one at that time, being, 19, 20 years old. And ended up one day just pulling the trigger and going and getting one, and had that and built that quite a few times, learning the hard way what does work, what doesn't work. And shortly after the Evo 10, maybe a couple of years after owning the Evo 10, I bought my Evo 9 and built that. It's just it's been a lot of DSMs and Evos, pretty much most of the cars that I've ever owned. And then maybe 2 years ago or so, I got the 3000 GT VR4. I got that as a 20-year barn find car.
Man.
Would start and ran poorly, didn't really drive at all. All the seals were leaking and all that stuff. So pulled that apart and refreshed everything. And now that's been my baby that sits in the garage at home. Because I think that's one of those cars that's like Mitsubishi's halo car of
Absolutely.
all time.
Yep. And what a good time to buy one because they've never been more expensive than they are now. Shoot.
Yeah, I bought it right before the price hike. You know, I got that car for now what would be considered a steal. And I don't think I'm ever going to let it go because I don't see very many clean examples out there going for a reasonable price anymore, which is a good thing because I'd like to see the market for these cars go up and get into people's hands who love and appreciate them and will put the time and money into them.
Definitely. My wife tells me all the time, my 50,000 mile 2G GSX early 95 car, you could probably double your money if you put it out there now. Yeah, it's so much more than money though.
Yeah. Well, I've been tossing around the idea of selling my Evo 9 and, for what I paid for the car, 4 or 5 years ago, and then what I have into it to build it and all that stuff. Yeah, I could sell the car and I could make money on it, but when am I going to get another one like it ever again for that kind of price? I'm going to end up paying more to get it back.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And so I'm just going to hang on to it, I think. But you never know. Things change, especially being a small business owner. There's times where, maybe I'll want a new tool or a new machine, or maybe I'll be looking at getting a dyno, and
gotta cut one
maybe the car will go up for sale. You never know.
So, does Cope Performance have any goals in 2022 that you want to achieve?
Definitely want to get the word out that we're here and we're doing work more. I don't foresee us doing too many events or drag racing this year because we are so busy.
Yeah.
And it is currently right now just me and my brother that work here. And so between the two of us, we are pretty well slammed at the moment.
It sounds like
so. I don't see us getting out very often. And that's another thing. My brother daily drives a 130,000 mile Evo 10.
That's awesome.
And so we both have a passion for it. We're both driving them every day. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna get out too much this year. But definitely want to expand, get our name out there more, and expand our customer base and be able to help more people, with these cars and spread the knowledge that we've learned, from breaking the cars and going through the build process on them. Definitely want to spread the knowledge, and collaborate and get more customers the advice or the help that they need with their cars.
That's awesome. Before me and Kyle, started this podcast, he said that he hadn't had a day off since November. So, that tells you how much hard work he's putting into this shop.
Yeah, absolutely. And they say if you want to really succeed and you want to really get far in what you're passionate about, you're going to be determined and focused, and you're not going to want to take a day off. You're not going to want to slow down. And I definitely live by that motto.
I mean, yeah, because you're doing what you love, so that's got to make things a little bit easier. If you didn't have a day off since November and you were doing something you hate, I'm sure you'd probably be a lot more miserable than you are now.
Oh, absolutely. But every day when I open up that shop door and I see the cars on the lift or see that next project that I'm working on, it brings a smile to your face every day when you get to open up that door.
Awesome. So, you said that you probably won't be able to attend any events this year. Is there anything that you guys plan to attend, like maybe the shootout or anything like that?
If we can get some time, I would love to make it to a few events this year. Maybe not with our cars, but just to go as a spectator.
Yeah.
But like I said, we are pretty well slammed for the rest of this year. I think I'm pretty well booked up into a little bit past August right now with builds and stuff. So depending on how well we get caught up, I'd love to make it to the shootout for sure.
Yeah, I think that's got to be the best way to get your name out there. It seems like, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I may end up making that a priority, and maybe I'll bring the Evo 9, the Daily Driver Evo 9 out with some stickers on it and run it just for fun.
Right. Because it's going to end up in somebody's camera roll, or somebody's going to pay attention, like, oh, Cope Performance, I haven't heard of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's definitely one of the big reasons why I got the drag chassis. Not only for the fun of it and the fun of a build and pushing my own skills and what we've learned so far on the platform, but to get the name out there that look, we can build these things, and we're gonna build one hell of a car and figure out every little issue as we go, and be able to offer that for other people, or be able to at least spread the knowledge of what we learned on that car. I'm not one for keeping too many secrets. Once I let them out,
right.
I'm more than willing to share the information once I know it's solid.
Yeah, definitely.
And then same thing with the parts. Once I know they're good, then I am more than willing to share all the information anybody wants. And I talked to quite a few people through social media and stuff, and I will help people out with getting part numbers and things like that, or getting the random little oddball things that they need, and sharing the knowledge of, I'm having an issue with, whatever their problem is. I'm more than willing to help people out for the most part. You know?
That's good. You don't see that a lot these days.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of secret keeping and stuff, and I don't believe in that. Once you know what you're doing, I think you should share. And that's where once I have a few of these projects finished up here, and I know it's going to work, there's definitely going to be some information released from me in that regard, to even help the guys who are not close enough to come to the shop, or are building their own race cars in their own garages with their friends. I think they deserve a lot of the information too, to just help them through with their cars.
Yeah, that's awesome. You see all the time of, people either not sharing information, or, asking for some help, and, either getting roasted on social media or what have you. So yeah. I think the going away from the forums a few years ago has been a blessing and a curse, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've seen a lot of misinformation out there, and that's something. Another goal for the future is to find some time to start making some YouTube videos and getting some information out there via that way.
Yeah.
Just to educate, because there is definitely some misinformation out there that gets spread pretty quickly. I think a lot of people like to jump on the bandwagon and they hear something's good or bad. And I'd like to at least share the information that I've learned from learning the hard way.
That's awesome. So is there anyone you want to give a shout out to, Kyle, that's helped get Cope Performance where it is?
Absolutely. Definitely my wife. She's my number one. She puts up with a lot, me being at the shop all hours of the night, and, not being home a lot. And between my wife and my daughter, they definitely put up with a lot of car talk and stuff. And the rest of my family, they're very supportive. They've definitely shared a lot of their time helping get everything set up and allowed me to do what I want to do.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely having a supportive family behind you makes everything a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Kyle, I wanted to say thanks for coming on as a sponsor for the website, man. It means a lot. I love having the website out there and everybody that helps make that possible. You don't even know how much I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. absolutely. And I love going on there and checking things out. And I've definitely seen too, like we were talking about earlier with the Evo 10 platform. I believe there's only about 5 cars on the list there that are under 10 seconds, and that's something that I definitely want to help change in the future. You know, I got a lot of customers here that have some fast cars that could definitely be up there on the list, and I'm trying to push them to, you know, take their car off the street a little bit and get it on track and you know, go have some fun and chase some numbers and have a good time with it.
Yeah, I think more people need to hit the track, even if you're scared that your car is going to be slow. You know, get out there and break tires loose, and you'll probably get addicted.
Yep, exactly. And I know I got that bug hit me a while ago, and it's been a while since I've been on track, but I definitely am itching to get back out there. That's for sure.
Yep, definitely. All right, Kyle. Well, I appreciate you taking the time out and coming on here. I know, you know, it's going to be a great story to have the Co-Performance name out there a little more, and hopefully some business will pick up. Sounds like you're already busy enough, but more the merrier.
Yep, and thank you so much for everything that you do as well.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.